Hi, I'm Rashida Ahmed, a sexual wellness educator and intimacy coach, and this October, in recognition of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I would love to invite you to join me on a journey as I discuss my domestic violence story, the lessons and the blessings that I've received, and living a life on the other side of fear. So, this 4-part series will chronicle one of the most impactful and pivotal seasons in my life, in the hope to raise awareness and consciousness and to provide inspiration, honestly, and hope for those who are enduring and who have endured abuse and domestic violence. I know how you're feeling, and trust me, you've got this. You can come through whatever life throws at you. I'm living testimony to that fact. So thanks for joining me on this journey. Let's get started. Okay, so let's get into the thick of it. Going back to the murky waters of my existence during that season of my life, there was a sense of hopelessness and a longing for something better all at the same time. I can now look back and see how little I had expected of myself and of everyone else around me, to be honest. And that sort of behavior was keeping me in what I like to call uncomfortable comfort. So I was in a relationship with a person that I believed that I loved and that loved me. But again, this is an area that I now can reflect on and see that love had left that relationship long before I did. And I just really want to make things crystal clear. Abuse and love cannot live in the same house. If abuse or violence is present, love is not. Regardless of what you might be feeling, regardless of what you've been told, love don't live there no more, honey. It's gone. It left. And one particular insidious thing that I've learned about domestic violence is the way that it can distort your reality and have you completely confused and disconnected from your intuition. Your intuition will always guide you and tell you what's for you and what isn't for you. But if you're feeling defeated and hopeless or afraid of or hatred towards or disgusted by, the actions or behaviors of your partner, then those are intuitive signals telling you that something is off, something is wrong. Pay attention to what your intuition is telling you. So my intuition at the time told me to leave, but, I believed that I could fix the relationship. I could make it better, so I stayed. Plus, I loved him, and love conquers all, right? I continued to compromise my self-respect and dignity for that relationship, and the lack of self-love showed up in all of the other areas in my life. I have really, truly learned that we are who we are wherever we go. So if domestic violence is silencing you and crushing your spirit and causing you to shrink, you're literally doing that in every other area of your life. And the isolation, the embarrassment, and the shame of it all are such heavy burdens to carry. But let me back up for just a second, because abusive relationships start way before the first fist is thrown. And they certainly exist without physical violence as well. So I want to make a distinction here. What I experienced and had violence, but it doesn't necessarily have to always be physical violence. It could be all that controlling or demanding or the guilt tripping or the gaslighting, all that walking around and tiptoeing on eggshells and doing things that you don't want to do or sometimes you don't like to do, but that or else is silent at the end of the sentence. In my case though, it was loud as fuck. It's a constantly putting your needs or your wants on the back burner. It's the belittling and disrespectful words. And it's also the disingenuous love bombing that occurs like clockwork. All of that is abuse. That's abusive behavior. And it's time we call out the elephant in the room. And my hope is to be a force for change and to spark conversation and dialogue, to eliminate the silence and shame that surrounds and enables domestic violence and abuse. Shame thrives in silence. And when we allow ourselves the opportunity to really label our emotions and feelings and be honest at ourselves and look at our actions and our choices objectively, it frees us up for healing and growth. It frees us up to grow up and away from the abuse, grow up and away from the violence, growing up and away from low self-worth and insecurities. While I was in that relationship, I dishonored myself. I took my own needs for granted, and I allowed myself to be treated in a manner that was way less than I deserved. But thankfully, my journey doesn't stop there, and it didn't. Because domestic violence doesn't define me. It was merely a very action-filled, drama-packed chapter in my life story. So this isn't going to be some boo-hoo, sad love story. This is a story of resiliency and triumphs and owning your shit and loving yourself fully and authentically. So all month long, I'll be sharing tips and tools that I've used to heal from domestic violence and to love my life back. To hopefully inspire you to take action, to heal from whatever you need to heal from, and to live your fucking life to the fullest. Thank you for joining me today.